Okay, we're rolling, babe.
Oh, you can't see it. Can you angle up at all? Really want this to be in. Yes.
Just so y'all know,
That is a swordfish.
Jordan is so excited to feature the swordfish in our YouTube video.
Coming at you live from Rosemary Beach, California. Rosemary, wait, we're in Florida currently.
Yeah.
Wow.
What
wow.
just happened?
I don't know. Rosemary Beach, Florida. All right, you can fix your hold, please. No, I can't spin.
Baby, wedge my arm in between these whenever you spin.
What are we talking about today?
Hello and welcome back to our channel, my channel, because Jordan's not a
I'm
YouTuber.
not, this ain't my channel.
I just always want to say our channel whenever you're in these.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
No, you
because
can have
that's
it.
sharing is caring. Rule
No,
number
you're
1
good.
about marriage. Just kidding.
You're good.
Okay, we're here to talk about all the things that we've learned. Well, the top things we've learned in 2 years of marriage. Because as of like 3 days ago,
Yes.
we've been married for 2 years. We were gonna film this last week. It just didn't work out. So we're here filming it literally right before we head to the airport. We're actually going to get coffee with some friends first that we
Yep.
met here because it's fun making new friends on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Should we just jump in?
You first.
Okay. The first thing that I've learned in 2 years of marriage is that the ultimate goal of marriage is not just sex.
You stole mine.
Well, we both kind of had that one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. We've
Man.
already done a podcast over this. That was my first one, is that the ultimate goal of marriage is not just sex. I think that purity culture can do us a disservice in pushing that, like, marriage is all about sex, save sex for marriage, blah, blah, blah. But then when you get in marriage and you realize that that is not really what marriage is actually about. Like, yes, it's very important. Yes, sex is crucial in marriage for a healthy marriage, and the Lord desires that in your marriage, but that's not, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That's not the goal of marriage. And I think that the church can really do Christians a disservice in a sense of they're pushing, wait for marriage, and then when you get in that marriage and you're having sex and you're like, wait, this is it? Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you wake up the next day and you're like, okay, I don't know how to blend our finances.
Yeah.
Or I don't know who this person is.
Balance responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the things that
That's a good
marriage is
point.
really about. So
Yeah.
that was my first one. We're doing like a power recap of the podcast. So if you guys want like more in depth, you can go watch that.
Mm-hmm.
What's your first one?
Well, it had to do with
Sex. I feel like it's
and
a
that
big one.
sex doesn't solve everything.
Yeah.
In our culture these days, there's makeup sex, or that is the bedrock of a relationship.
Mhm.
And I think that in marriage, there's so much more
Amen.
to marriage than just sex.
Yeah.
That's like putting a band-aid on a gunshot wound.
Yeah.
Eventually, the real issues will come. You have to be able to communicate about issues and about problems because they're going to come up. Every single relationship or marriage has issues or problems with things.
Yeah.
No
No
marriage
marriage
is
is
perfect. And if they
Mhm.
tell you that it is, they are lying to
Yeah.
you. Sex isn't going to solve every single one of
Yeah.
your problems.
Yeah. Well, because I know we
So-
talked about this in the podcast, but it's like those that have makeup sex and believe that that is the solution and the fixer of all things, like of every disagreement and every argument. Sure, makeup sex is great if you're into that, but then when you get on the other side of that, you still have an issue
Yeah.
to deal with. Just like you said, it's a band-aid for a gunshot wound. It's
Yeah.
not the solve-all, fix-all, be-all. Jesus is. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Going into my next one, marriage is actually not about you at all. That's going to sting a little bit for some people because I think we as Christians can become incredibly selfish with our time, and all of a sudden you're in marriage and you're like, oh wait, this is not about me at all. It's about serving the other person. That's
Yeah.
the whole context of marriage in a biblical perspective, is to lay your life down for one another, to put God first, second is your spouse. Not God, you, and then your spouse. It's God, your spouse, and you. And that means that there's going to be things that you have to sacrifice in marriage. You're not going to be able to go out when you want to. You're not going to be able to just go vacation wherever the heck you want and travel like you used to when you were single. It's going to change. Things ebb and flow in marriage.
Yeah.
And I think if you are coming from a very selfish personality or a very selfish season of life, it can be a wake-up call for sure. I feel like I was just so ready. I was like, whatever, God. Like, I was so ready for marriage.
Yeah.
And I was so ready for that season of life that it was really an easy adjustment for me.
Well, I heard
But
something
even still.
the other day that goes along with that,
Mhm.
and that was your family is your first ministry.
Mm.
And so
Mhm.
there's the Lord first and then your family.
Yeah,
And you
that's
have
good.
to foster both of those.
Yeah.
Both of those take constant work. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I'm
that's
sorry.
good. That's go into your second one. That's good.
Somewhat similar.
Mhm.
I feel like we played off of these, but my second one is there is no tally. There is no scoring system in a marriage.
That's good.
We both have very busy lives. We have a lot of things going on the majority of them involve one another. Some of them don't involve one another. And one of us has a really busy week. Let's say I made dinner on Monday, it's her turn on Tuesday, and she gets stuck in meetings, or traffic is awful, or something pops up that she needs to address. I'm not gonna just sit there and wait
for me to come home and cook dinner.
My hands work too. There's no tally. I know in past relationships I kept tallies. I know throughout our discussions, like you did as well, there is no tally to a successful marriage or relationship. You can't keep score. Because there's always, if you keep a score, there's always going to be a loser. And you don't want anyone involved in this relationship to feel that way.
Marriage is two imperfect people coming together to serve the kingdom. I saw a quote that said that yesterday. I'll try to put it here on the screen. And it was basically where two imperfect people are deciding to pursue the perfect love of Christ. And in that, they find a healthy marriage. And I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. Like, again, we live in a selfish society that thinks that they're perfect and anyone else is not. And I'm like, no, you have your imperfections too. And so, yeah, I love that. I am going into my third one. I said that very confused.
Yeah. Was that a question mark?
Kind of. Your spouse will not complete you. I think that, again, society has done us a disservice in saying the whole, like, you complete me, and you see it on Valentine's Day. And it's not just Valentine's Day. This is like a narrative that society has really painted in Hollywood and romance movies and probably romance books, where the other person completes them. I can't live without you. And while, yes, they're cute, sappy sayings, that they're not biblical. The only one that can complete us is Jesus Christ. And I think if you're going into a marriage thinking that, if you're going into any relationship thinking that this person is going to fill the voids in your heart, you're going to be let down, because the voids in your heart are places that only the Lord, the love of Christ, can fill and push out darkness that's in there, like sadness or depression or anxiety or whatever it is that you're trying to fill and mask. Only God can do that. And I think I knew that going into marriage, but it really hits in like year 2 in a sense of like, oh wait, yes, this is my husband. Yes, I love him with all of my heart and I would do anything for him, but he's not my number one, and he doesn't complete me, and he is my partner, and he is my best friend, you know what I mean? And like all these things in my romantic relationship and all of that. But at the end of the day, like the only one that can fill those voids in my heart is Jesus Christ.
I couldn't agree with that anymore.
Boom! Look at that. Rolling through these.
I have nothing to add.
That's actually not normal.
No, it's not.
You usually have commentary on everything I say.
My third one has to do, I'm going to deviate a little bit from the podcast, but my third one has to do with time. And I think that...
Is it me always being late?
No, that is...
That can cause conflicts in marriage.
Gentlemen, if that can cause conflict.
Wait, no.
That's an entire separate YouTube.
It's a song, isn't it? A country song?
Yeah.
Waiting on a woman?
Yeah, we have that conversation every time. I've confirmed with you 1,000 times that is a country song.
Yes.
No, I want to talk like time. Make time for you guys to do something as a couple, but also make time to do things for yourself.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to have a blend, a balance. I am calling myself out. I'm calling you out. We always make time to do things as a couple.
Yeah.
I think where we lack, and because this video is about transparency, I think where we lack and where we could do a better job is making time for us to do things for ourselves. That goes both ways. Like you making time to do stuff for yourself, and as well as me making time to do things for myself. One of the big focuses that I had when we got married was that we didn't lose our identities. Like, I want you to be the same person that I fell in love with. I don't want you to change. I want you to be the same person that I fell in love with, the same girl that I married, and I want to be that same guy that you fell in love with. I don't want to let marriage change me. It's going to change me to a certain extent, because now two become one. Naturally, things are going to change, but I think it's just so important that a lot of new couples may lose a little bit of their identity, and their identity becomes their marriage. And I think it's super healthy. You have to make time for yourself, and I am calling myself out because I don't do that as often as I probably should.
Yeah, I feel like I do a pretty decent job at it.
You do a good job.
I feel like you, because one, but I want to say why. It's because you're so selfless, and this man is the first person to step up to the plate to help someone, at work that's in need, or someone on the side of the road. Like, you sacrifice that time. time for other people, which I love about him, but at the same time it can become a thorn in our side. And so I think maybe that's my job as your wife, to just encourage you to spend more time alone. But if you're in a situation where maybe like you guys have lost your identity in each other, I would just say, like, if you don't know how to encourage your spouse to go spend time alone or go do something that he loves. For example, Jordan loves playing baseball with the guys, softball technically. He loves playing softball. You could encourage him, like, hey babe, go play softball, and when he goes to play softball, you go do something that you love. For me, that's always been horseback riding. You love being at the gun range and doing all the manly things, and I love being horseback and doing things in the arena. Going and pushing your spouse to do something that they love and encouraging them, like, hey, it's okay. And it might be in a situation too for some where that's caused conflict, where that's caused arguments or disagreements, and so it's a sore subject. It's very, very healthy to be able to spend time alone. Sorry, my throat's being all weird. Holy Spirit. Being able to spend time alone with the Lord, you have to have that. To be able to go into the secret place without your spouse is important, because then that brings you guys closer together whenever.
You hit the nail on the head too, is like, you like to ride horses. You don't even like to ride horses. You love to
live to ride horses.
Live to ride horses.
Yes.
Not my thing.
Yeah.
Not something that I grew up around, not something that I'm super passionate about. Because I love her, I have found ways that I can fit into that activity to where I can be involved in that activity. I'm not always involved in it. She goes to the range, rides by herself all the time. But if I'm around, I find ways that I can, whether that's dragging the arena, that's making improvements to the facilities, whether that's, cleaning out stalls, helping you bathe the horses, whatever. Like, try to find ways to where I can get involved in that, because I know it's something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, and I love that about you. I'm smiling because I'm thinking of that video I was making yesterday. The man thought he hit the lottery for marrying a girl that's not into designer purses and designer clothes. How are her horses doing?
I almost wish you had a purse addiction.
I don't. Okay.
I know.
Keeps on giving. Love is not a feeling. And I wrote, you cannot base a marriage solely on feelings alone, because there will be times where those feelings are irritated, short, frustrated with each other, butting heads that week over big things that you don't see eye to eye on. And if your marriage is based on a feeling, that's not a firm foundation to build a house on. The butterflies, the excitement, the I can't sleep or eat right now won't last forever. And when they do fade, you have to work to create beautiful connections in more intimate ways. It's just kind of short, sweet, to the point. I feel like too many people are building their relationship off of how they feel. And again, this world will tell you, follow your heart. Follow what your heart's desiring. Follow your feelings. Do you, boo? Like, all these things that are not biblical. It's so true. You're laughing. But there's so many girls that will get out of relationships that the Lord had placed in front of them because they don't feel like it that week. And I'm like, that is not, that ain't it, sis. Love is not a feeling. Love is a choice. There have been plenty of times where you and I have not seen eye to eye, butted heads, disagreed on things. And we do it cordially, right? Like, he's never raised his voice at me, nor have I. Well, maybe a little bit. I take that back. I'm very
She's an animated
I'm very
arguer.
animated when I argue, and I don't mean it in like I hate you. It's really just like I get passionate. I'm passionate, but you don't raise your voice at me. So all of that to say, like, you're gonna have those moments, and in the thick of that, you can't just leave because you don't feel like being around the person. You're like, no, we gotta work this out. Take a break, take a breather, go spend time and process this with the Lord. Come back in 15 minutes. We're gonna talk through this.
There's no reason to raise my voice. I know I'm right, and it just may take a little bit longer time for you to see that I'm right.
Okay.
So yeah, go away for 15 minutes. We come back to the table, and I remind you about how I'm right. It's awkward silence. The awkward silence moment.
I actually kind of like the awkward silence moment. Okay, what's your next one?
I don't have my notes, so I'm really I'm winging this. I did prepare notes for the podcast. Well, that's my last one. But,
okay.
It's so cliche to say, but like communication is so key. In your marriage or your relationship, there are going to be things that absolutely drive you crazy about the person that you love. This is the person that I love with all my heart.
Hi.
She drives me crazy with certain things. There are things that I like kind of wish I knew before we got married because I would have addressed them.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have changed your mind on marrying.
Wouldn't have changed my mind on marrying you, but there would have been a conversation, all right?
Low key, the peanut butter jars. You guys have heard him talk about this. We had a peanut butter jar this week because we didn't really have a kitchen and we're like, we need some snacky foods. Yesterday, I got a scoop of peanut butter out of there and I was eating it. And I literally realized as I was walking away, I didn't screw the lid on and he was standing right there and I turned around and he was mouthing this woman. And I felt so bad, but I was like, oh, well, we're already here, so.
My point is, if it's not that big of a deal, don't worry about it. But if it's something that really bugs you, communicate it.
Yeah.
And communicate it in a loving, like, hey, this really bothers me. And then this is why. And that's it's
why
also,
are you the way that you are?
Also so cliche, but communicating to understand, not just to respond. Listening to her of why she might leave the peanut butter off. It gets me flustered even talking about it.
You're getting all red over there.
Yeah. And some people who watch this video are going to say, well, like, you've mentioned this a lot. I know.
Well, it's a good driving home point.
She just hasn't
I haven't fixed
the
it
way that
yet,
I've
guys.
communicated it. So I'm going to continue to every video.
Yeah, this is not on you. This is literally on me. And maybe I need to take this to the Lord and be like, Lord, what are you trying to tell me? And maybe he's going to send me a whole sermon out of it, like, finish the job, Britt.
That would be great.
Do it with excellence.
That would be great if you took it to the Lord, because I've already taken it to the Lord, like, so many times. Daily almost.
That's a little convicting.
Daily almost,
a little convicting to do it with excellence unto the Lord.
What's
I was just reading about that. Marry someone for who they are, not for what they do, how they look, their job status, their title, or their money. 1 Samuel 16:7 says, man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. I just see so many women doing this all the time. They marry a man because of the house he has, the car he drives, the money in his bank account, the job title he has to offer, or the looks. Like, the list could go on. If that is the top things on your list, I would say you almost need a heart check, because you're marrying for the wrong reasons. Marriage is to walk with someone, with your partner, for life, for the kingdom, for the glory of God. Do it unto the Lord, just like I said. And if you are not marrying someone that can lead you closer to the presence of God, if you're not marrying someone who can lead you closer to Christ, you're doing it all for the wrong reasons. And I think too many women are looking for the shallowness, the shallow things, right?
Yeah.
Like they're looking.
The shallow things are important to them.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, that love and marriage is so much deeper than that. Like, your looks are gonna fade, your money could be here one day and gone the next. Like, none of that is guaranteed, but what is guaranteed is a man that knows the Lord, a man that has reverence for the Lord, who can get into the presence of God, who knows how to get into the presence of God, who will lead you closer to God. And if you have that, the rest of it is just there. The rest of it is just an added bonus. I've seen so many beautiful stories of couples who get married because of their love for God, and they don't have money, they don't have the house, they don't have the car, they don't have the career, they have no idea what they're doing with their life, they have no idea where they're going, but they know they can trust each other with their heart and to lead them closer to Christ. Then you see them 5-10 years down the road, and the Lord has just blessed them tenfold. And so I think just making sure you're marrying for the right reasons, because marriage is not the house, marriage is not the car, marriage is not the bank account. Those things will let you down. And if you are marrying for that reason alone, you're gonna be sad. You're gonna get a year into marriage and you're gonna look at your spouse and be like, I don't even know you. Like, I married you for all these surface level things, but I have no idea who you are. I don't know the depths to your heart. I don't know if you even know Jesus. And that would just be a really, really scary place to be. I've been there before. I know you kind of have too, and it's just not it. It ain't it, sis. And so to prevent someone from having heartbreak in the future, that is my tip.
Last one, because we literally have to go.
Yeah, we literally have 5 minutes.
Make more sandwiches. Sandwiches are
dramatic delay.
The way to a man's heart.
I don't make you a lot of sandwiches, though.
You don't.
I do make you dinner.
That's why we have a counseling appointment next week.
We do? I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's not a bad tip, though. Marriage counseling. We don't have marriage counseling at the moment, but that is a really good tip. Ongoing therapy. It's not going to hurt anything. If you are worried that something could spontaneously combust in your marriage, which, I don't know, do you have that concern? I don't have that concern.
No,
but
even,
if you do...
Even though our marriage is healthy, we still
go.
We have couples that we look up to, that we get coffee with, we get dinner with, we have in our lives, that speak into our lives, speak into our marriage.
We're literally about to go right now.
Yeah. So
having godly Christian couples that are light years ahead of you speak into your marriage, speak over your life, and all the things. So yeah, are you looking at the time?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I
it.
think that sums up our little things we've learned in 2 years of marriage. There's a lot that we didn't dive into that maybe we'll do another one in the
Listen
future.
to the podcast.
Listen to the podcast. It's about an hour and a half long.
Is it really?
An hour and 20 minutes, I think. We talk a lot. So, as always, thank you guys so much for stopping in on today's channel. Make sure to subscribe and give this a thumbs up if you guys want more of these. And we will see you guys in the next vlog. Bye.
Bye.